Sorry, we forgot to start recording.
Okay, and we're going to kind of run through PowerPoint-wise what we're going to talk about today, and then we're going to jump into the computers and do everything live. So,
hands-on,
yeah. But yeah, so just make sure we're going to go through, show you how to edit your profile and everything, make sure your pictures and contact info are up to date. Oops, I clicked on this. Okay, so the old agent websites versus the new agent websites. So the old ones used to be called SPA pages, single page agent website. And so it was essentially just a flat page. Everyone had the same template. You could update like your contact info, your pictures, and link in your social, but it wasn't a super interactive site, right? If you guys remember. The new website is going to be a multi-page actual website. So web page versus website. And then there's 5 customizable templates as of now. And then obviously you can kind of build off that and totally customize your own. You're going to be able to link in your social media and not so much just a button. It's going to actually show up on your page as active posts and then link back to your social media sites as well. You can add in your Zillow reviews, and you can do that manually or link into Zillow. And then obviously, of course, this is all going to be linked to your CRM as well. So anything that's happening on your site is going to also show up on your CRM as far as your contacts are concerned. So just wanted to review just the general flow of how the websites are working right now. So we obviously have our national site, our Remax.com site, the multi-office, and then our individual offices, agents, and team sites. So what's happening right now is that we have launched, but we aren't officially live, if that makes sense. So right now you're able to log into your CRM, you're able to customize your websites, but from the consumer end of things, they're still seeing your old Remax.com websites. So those ones are powered by Homes.com, and they're essentially giving you about a month in order to get all of your content and everything set up and customize everything, and then probably sometime early to mid-November, they're essentially going to flip a switch, and then the websites are going to go from your Homes.com single-page agent websites to the new Remax.com website. Does that make sense? So we've launched, but we're not live. But that's good because it gives you time to get your contacts into your database, and it gives you time to edit your websites and get those all set up correctly. Cool? Okay. So just to kind of sneak peek at what some of the websites are going to look like, and obviously we'll dive into it so you guys can kind of start customizing all of this. As a reminder, everything that's happening in your website is going to be linked to your CRM. So very important to get those contacts in there, and we'll talk about all of that next week. But just some of the agent website details, like we mentioned, obviously it's a multi-page website. They're giving you 5 templates. I believe 3 of them are live right now, but you can always switch back later once all of them are live. Totally customizable, and then you also have a bunch of other features on here that we're going to kind of dive into as we work through today. And feel free to jump in whenever.
yeah, I don't want to step on your toes. See, this is our first time through, so we're practicing a little bit live.
Okay, so just some terms to note, and this will probably make sense once we're kind of in the website and kind of messing around with everything. But so grid view versus list view. So when you're looking at your agent website, as far as the managing page, you're going to be able to view your different pages in a grid view, and then also in a list view. So let me jump over here. So it'll look something like this. And so the grid view essentially is going to give you kind of a little screenshot of what that page is going to look like. The list view just goes by the name of the page. So if you're naming your page community information or something, it'll say community info rather than the full screenshot of the web page.
Yeah, it's like when you're in your Windows Explorer, right? You can choose to see all the file names, or you can choose to have little previews, right, of each file, what type it is or whatever it is. Same concept.
So we just kind of want to go through these so that when we're talking later, it makes more sense. We're not just saying go to list view or grid view and we don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so linked versus unlinked. So you're going to have the option to create pages, and some of those will be linked to your Remax.com page, and then some of those you can create and use for external marketing. So a linked page is anything that's going to be showing up on your Remax.com page, so it's linked to your Remax.com website. Unlinked would be one that you would create and then you use kind of for your own projects or marketing or whatever it is that you're looking for.
Yeah,
so
I think the example they give, and it's actually up here, is if you're working on like a neighborhood and you want to have a site that directly links and kind of markets that neighborhood. You wouldn't have that attached onto your regular website. You'd it'd be alive and a living, breathing thing, but it would be separate from your main website. You could eventually link it in if you feel like it's your sole kind of business focus at that time or something like that. You could do that, but the reality is you want to have it living separately so that you can keep your website focused on you and your regular business. If that makes any sense.
So linked will show up on Remax.com. Unlinked is for whatever websites you want to create. But you can do unlimited unlinked pages, which is really nice, so you don't have to hire people and do all that. And the domains, if you choose to purchase domains, you can reuse them for your unlinked pages as well. So parent page versus child page. So think about this as kind of like when you're looking at the menu, you have kind of the main page that's showing up, and then you'll have sub-pages underneath that. So the main page is going to be your parent page. The sub-pages are going to be your child page. So for example, if we had as a parent page, as a main page, Charlotte neighborhoods, right? And then your sub-pages would be the individual neighborhoods listed out. So South Park, Plaza Midwood, Noda, stuff like that. So parent page is kind of your main, and then your sub-pages are your child pages below it. And again, this will make more sense once we get in there, I promise. And then just draft versus publish. So anytime that you see draft, it is visible to you, but it's not going to be live on your site. Published means that the consumer can see it, everything is live. You can still edit things, of course, but then you just want to make sure that you don't just start editing things and not finish, because it is live to the consumer. And
yeah, just a reminder, we're going to dive into this. I know some of this sounds confusing, but we're going to dive into it at the end of the training and show you exactly what we're talking about. You'll be able to see how all this works, and it'll be less imaginative and more hands-on.
So just looking at the website. So when you're logged into your Boosh platform and you're under the website button right here, again, you're going to have the grid and list view, and this is showing it in list view right now. And then you'll have your parent and child pages. So see how this one is kind of a main page, and then this one is a sub-page beneath it. And then you have your unlinked pages, and then of course these ones are your main pages, so these are your linked. And again, we'll go through all of this. And we'll share the PowerPoint with you guys afterwards if you want to review it. So inside your website, you have what's called a CMS Editor, so your content management system. Essentially, your website is made up of a bunch of different blocks, a bunch of different content blocks. So whether that be a social media block or a video block or just text, you can essentially customize your website however you see fit. So if you want your main page to be just a big picture or a big video, you can do that. And then you can arrange your content blocks underneath it, however works best for you. So again, eventually you'll have 5 options to choose from as far as your main template for your main page. And then everything beneath that you can kind of customize yourself.
And if you choose not to do anything, those templates are perfectly presentable, great marketing. They look clean, they're nice, contemporary, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you want to be, an editor and truly go in there and start making changes, every aspect of it is fully customizable. I think the only place you're going to be limited is like coloring. So like those templates are going to give you the ability to use very certain color palettes, and everything will fall into those palettes. So you're not going to be able to make your page rainbow or anything like that. And that also falls into just general brand guidelines. But you will be able to make changes to what you actually see on those web pages all you like. I know that a lot of people get overwhelmed when they think of, do I need to pick the color of the writing here, and do I need to do this and that? The templates will kind of keep you reined in and give you good rails to kind of keep you in line, but it will still allow you to do all the customization that you need from a block perspective.
Has anyone ever used anything like MailChimp or BombBomb or any of those sites?
Nice.
So for those, you essentially just select whatever content you want, and then you can rearrange it on the screen. So it's a very similar concept if you have used them to what you're using in Boosh. Okay. They have also partnered with Google. So they are going to be working really hard once everything goes live to make sure that you're showing up at the top of the search results, of course. But just as a reminder, when you're filling in content into your pages, you want to keep it super local. So that way, when people are searching for local results, obviously, like they're searching for homes in Charlotte, the more that you can make your content local specific, the more you're likely to show up in Google search results. Because every word that you put into your website goes into this crazy World Wide Web. So your SEO, your search engine optimization, will increase if you can get the words that people are searching for into your website. Does that make sense? So if people are searching for homes in Myers Park, you want to make sure that you're typing the word Myers Park into your content.
But you want it to be organic too. So it's a little bit of a game, because at the end of the day, I think for the longest time there were a bunch of folks who said they were SEO experts, and what they would do is they go to your website and they would put a bunch of copy in the background and hope that the Google would catch it, right? They just put like, I don't even know what a good example would be, like Carmel, South Park, Quail Hollow. Like they just put all this stuff in the background, nothing to do with your webpage at all, and they hope SEO picks it up. Now the way that Google is doing it is that it's a combination of what's actually on your website and then where people are continuing to revisit, right? So if you did set up your site correctly and you're actually offering true content, you're gonna have a lot of revisitors, right? Or like, oh, there was something in this neighborhood breakdown that I really liked, and they'll come back and come back. And once that increased traffic it's kind of like a rolling ball, right, of momentum. Once that continues to build, then Google starts pushing people back to that site because they realize that other folks have valued it. So it's a balanced game. You can't just fill your website full of a bunch of copy and expect it to be successful. You need to make sure you're actually offering some relative information to all your clients or prospects. So, but you do want to make it hyper local. That's kind of the game right now. Is when you're talking about neighborhood searching, home searching, everything like that, folks are being very specific as to what they're looking for. And if you get really general and you talk about regions and stuff like that, it may not be what you're looking for. So you want to kind of focus on your spots.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. And then just if you guys didn't, we included this in the PowerPoint, but we'll show you how to do it as well. You can manually add testimonials now. Super simple. All you need is the client's name, obviously, their testimonial, and a 1 to 5 star rating. And then you can enter in all of those so that they show up on your website as well. And then we're not going to dive too much into this, but once we officially go live, Remax will own the website. And so they'll be able to customize all of your URLs so they will have kind of a easier flow than what it is right now. It's like remax.com/your name and then a bunch of gibberish afterwards. So it'll be a little bit more organized, and it might be a little bit easier for people to find you. So
that's just a hierarchy.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you have your own domain, you can still point that towards your remax.com website. The only thing that they asked is that you make sure that your domain name is in compliance with Remax standards. So there's a link on here if you want to check it on page 52 to make sure that the domain that you purchased is one that we approve, technically. But
I think for the most part, they're all.
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, we have a new product support team. So Salesforce is now working with us on the customer support side. So if you guys have any issues with your BOOJ accounts, with your website, again, it's launching to 60,000 agents across the country. So there's probably going to be some issues that come up along the way. So they are there. I would say the chat functionality is probably the easiest way to get a hold of them. So if something is not working on your account, just send them a quick chat and they'll get a ticket in for you and hopefully get it resolved pretty quickly. Or you can call, of course. And then last but not least, if Al and I are not enough information for you, Remax University has a ton of videos on there that break down all of these different aspects of the Boosh platform. So some of them are as short as like 4 or 5 minutes. Some of them are as long as like an hour. So if you guys want additional resources, Remax University is filled with them right now. And it's just under the Boosh button over here on the left. But all right, let's dive into the Boosh website editor. So is everyone logged into Mac Center and logged into Boosh?
It's gonna be hard to do backwards.
The what?
It's gonna be hard to do backwards, maybe.
Oh, here, I can pull up a chair if you want to. Okay, so hopefully by now you guys have found the Boosh tile. right? Okay. Yep, so go ahead and log in. Actually, before we log into that, let's make sure that the profiles are up to date. So you'll see this banner across the top of your Max Center account. If you haven't updated your profile, you can click that or click directly on your face, and it will bring you to your profile. So again, this is what's feeding the My Intro tab. It's not working. Sorry, we went back to Max Center. And just make sure that your picture and everything are of high quality. And then, of course, if you need to update anything, just hit Update Account on the right side.
Color. So the font is so dark.
And so yours will look a little bit different just because we have an admin account, but you should be able to update things like your contact info, your service areas, all of that information. So again, just verifying that all of this is correct because it is going to show up on your website.
It's normal to say associate versus.
Yep. You're all associates as far as Remax is concerned. Of the firm.
And if you need to change anything, general info, contact info, photos, all of the above. Is everyone's profile look okay? All right, cool. So now that that's updated, now we can go back to the Max Center, or if you have BOOJ open, we'll go to BOOJ. Yep, okay. All right, so now that we're in BOOJ, this is your dashboard. Again, we'll dive into all these different aspects later this month, but we're going to go over to the right side to website and customize site. Does everyone's screen look like this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so here under agent layout, this is going to be kind of your main agent site. So you can build off this. Obviously, right now it's just showing you the template that they create for you, but you can change it if you'd like. And it should show you, oh good, they have 4 options now. So they should show you the different templated options if you want to choose one of those as far as the layout goes. They will eventually be changing these little screenshots to reflect what the actual site looks like. But for now, like if you want to click into it, see what it looks like, and then if you don't like it, you can always come back and select a different one. But they'll all kind of have different layouts in the sense that some will have, a big picture in the background, some will have a search bar right at the top, some will have videos. So whatever your preference is, I would say select that one.
When you wait to see that book?
So I think if you hit, yeah, try that. Here. Create a dash user. So everyone's username and password should be your beta dash user, and then password is beta tester, capital B, capital T, 1, 2, 3, exclamation point.
When I click on change home page, it does not. It says save cancel. Beta tester 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's what I'm used to.
What is the password?
Beta tester, capital B, capital T.
Yeah, so the username is beta-user.
Capital B?
No, it doesn't matter on the username.
Beta test user?
No. So the username is beta-user for the username.
Beta dash user.
And the password is beta, capital B, tester, capital T, 1, 2, 3, exclamation point.
Yeah.
It's okay. If you go in and try to change it, it'll ask you, but let's see. Right, but you're going to change on page. Oh,
And it
sorry.
doesn't do it.
So you
Can you preview it? Beta-user.
See where you say
The last page.
HTTP.
And it's capital B, beta.
Right there, click there.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah. With your
Capital beta capital test.
1, 2, 3.
Click
there. And then you put beta dash user. And then capital B beta, capital T, tester, 1, 2, 3. Exclamation point.
So what you can
So,
do is,
on the
as we make
blue line,
changes,
you
you
see
go
the
back
blue
and
line?
look
You're
at
not
the process and
on
you'll see what you've actually changed to your site, vice versa.
Oh, here.
I want to get
Move your, okay, right there, right there.
This is
Okay, click there.
Currently what's up here, right.
Oh, no, go on your
Right, so if you went
website.
back
See,
in,
click on your
if you went back into the
HTTP.
Boosh, and you change this to
Right there, right
user,
there.
say like 1,
beta dash user.
Okay, and then just put.
come back here and hit refresh, and go R.
Right, so there should have been a copy that had like 2 buttons right there.
Okay, so it's not asking.
So it's beta what?
Right, so that's,
Beta
that's
tester 1, 2, 3.
What was your
Now,
So,
beta.
beta dash user. Yeah, I do that. In capital.
Beta test user.
Yes.
Capital B user.
Are you talking, now, you're talking about what you test user is, or are you talking about?
Should I say this? I don't know.
No, it's my own.
That you pay for, that you have like 3 things.
Oh, she didn't go.
Yeah, so
That's where it's all.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I would think that when these are found out, I think that they will be.
that's what we have to figure out.
After B, after T.
Sure.
Here, can I?
For sure, sure. I understand. But, along with your,
Oh.
Oh, makes sense.
Oh, I thought it was places kind
well, the CRM is gonna exist.
Are you guys okay or did it done?
Fine. You gotta track back to the CRM. Basically, it's within
Oh,
the
no,
CRM.
yeah.
Every user can have like their.
So, beta dash user.
That's what I need.
So
So Sarah,
all go right to your CRM.
how do we change this then?
The image will go through all that. So that's just part of your content blocks, yeah.
So I got the
All
So, beta tester,
So there are things.
capital B, capital T,
Capital T,
E, lowercase e, T, A, capital T, E, S, T, E, R, 1, 2, 3, exclamation point.
I got it.
So JSON sites are gonna be compatible with what we're doing here?
should I save it?
Compatible, I wouldn't use the word compatible.
So then that way you can view, since they're not showing you the screenshots of the different templates right now, that would be how you would go in. So if you wanted to say, okay, I like this one,
Set it up so that way.
or I don't.
Put the Remax page to that.
What is on my page is your choice regarding cookies and this side, should I accept cookies?
It just, yeah, the cookies is just how they track everything that everyone does. There's cookies on every site. So you can accept it.
Still make it so that the user experience, they would not be aware that they left.
What about the original?
So essentially what we're showing right now, so because they don't have
Right.
Charlotte.
these little
Yeah, so
pictures
like you can do.
set up to what the actual website template looks like, we have to click on whichever one we want to view and then go to the view website so you can see it. It's kind of a pain. Eventually you'll just be able to say, okay, this agent layout 1 looks like this, agent layout 2 looks like this. That's the style that I want. So it's just kind of an additional step. Eventually there will be 5 options. So I think there's 3 and then a welcome to Boosh option right now. So Al had 2, and it looks something similar to this. So there's a big search bar at the top, there's an image in the background, featured communities, obviously all this you can edit, your listing info. So if he decides to switch that to agent layout 4, and then view this page,
You just go refresh it.
You,
it'll look something.
you go back to.
Oh yeah. So this one still has the search bar, but then it has his agent info.
My bio. But again, in that profile, we were talking about a lot of things like your bio there and everything that will all come over. So.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
And then let's agent layout 01.
My name, Brad. Why is it on here having my middle initial?
Fascinating. I'm guessing
Okay.
from.
So the biggest difference it looks like is the agent layout 1 has an image, and then it has your bio and everything, and then it breaks down into your reviews, your listings,
What about if you
and social. So right now, since it's not officially live, it'll have like a placeholder, and then eventually when it goes live, we'll be able to fill in actual content. So like it'll show listings, for example, but since we're not live, the listings aren't actually syndicated yet. So same
What
thing.
if I don't have any listing, what does it do that?
That part will probably just minimize, or it'll pull through office listings. We'll have to check on that.
What about if I don't have any review?
Then I would maybe not put we can go through and edit the content, and so we can maybe delete that one if you don't like.
Because right now it shows reviews and empty.
Yeah. Did you ever put anything in there?
I never read, no, see, you know, how bad I am.
And so keep in mind too, while we're editing this, since this isn't officially live, a lot of this is going to be placeholders, but you'll at least get to see what it will look like once everything is set up correctly. So has everyone selected a layout that they like? Again, you can always come back and change it.
Okay, once you select that layout, you just save it?
Yep, you select your layout, you hit save, and then if you want to view again what that layout looks like to make sure that you like it, come up to the top and hit the preview.
Nice.
And so that's what it'll show you. Because then if you say, oh, I hate that I have this big search bar or something, you can switch a different or select a different one. So all of these things that we're seeing here, again, like we mentioned in the PowerPoint, these are your content blocks. So this is what you'll be able to rearrange and customize as well. Okay. So let's exit out of preview and go back to the main BOOJ website page.
Want me to drop?
No, okay. If you want to talk about it. And then let's go over to edit page. Yep. Does everyone's screen look something like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So, again, these are your content blocks over here on the left. You'll notice that this is green. That means that it's published. So it's actually going to show up on your website. If it were red for some reason, that would mean it was in draft mode. So that means that you can see it, and you can see it embedded into your website. But if this were a live site, consumers would not be able to see that specific content block. Does that make sense? So if you're ever if you decide to add in something maybe with a lot of text, maybe leave it in draft mode first until you make sure that you have everything perfect, you didn't do any grammatical errors, and then once you verify that, then move it over to published. Make sense? If you, for whatever reason, do not want a content block in there, you can always hit the trash can over here, and it'll essentially just delete that specific content block and move everything else up. So if you had your reviews on there and you hadn't put any in yet, you can go ahead and delete that, and then you can always add in that content block later.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably important to delineate that this is moving down your web page, right, from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. So these blocks are actually in this exact order. Not that there should be any confusion. It makes a lot of logical sense, but this is the order they're in. So you can actually click on these and move them. If you hold long, click on them, and then move them up, and you can change the positioning of content.
Well,
yeah, like that. Does that make sense?
So see how his agent rebrand block used to be right at the top, and now it's underneath his video.
Everyone follow along with that?
So right now we're manipulating the template. So everyone selected their basic template, and now we're kind of customizing it to fit what you guys want on your site. So just to kind of run through some of these, this one you'll notice has a lock on it. So they only give you a few options for that kind of main image or main kind of headline section. And so depending on what template you picked, it'll look something similar to this, but it'll kind of be the main locked headline. And then below that, you have all these different options. So let's jump into video embed. And so essentially you're embedding a video from YouTube onto your website. So you can hit the little pencil and come in here and edit this. And this is where you can come in and say, okay, maybe for this month I want to focus my video on a luxury listing that I have. Like if you did like a really nice drone video or something like that, you could upload that to your site. You just have to put it onto a YouTube channel first and then copy and paste that URL. Or if you found a Remax.com, Remax commercial or something that you liked and thought was funny, you could put that up there. Essentially, any video you want, you can put up there. It just has to be based from YouTube. So you can create private channels and stuff and share the videos that way if you just wanted to have somewhere to store it. But
I think Vimeo too, right? Is the other one there?
I think so, yeah. So if you'll notice, the website URL goes here. Underneath it, you have a caption. That would be this down here. So just letting people know what this video is about. You can put the caption on there. Oops. And so this is all of your block content. And if we go back to the list, okay, you have all these different blocks in here, right? So the listing block is not live yet, but you can come in here and edit that if you need to, or if you wanted to put it, it'll let you edit more stuff as everything goes live. So right now it's more of a placeholder. The agent rebrand block, again, is just going to be kind of your bio. This is coming from your Mac Center profile.
And it updates instantly. We just made a change in marks, and it updated when we refreshed the page. So that's really nice.
And then lastly, the CTA Walk. This is where essentially you can have a little button on your website for consumers to download your mobile app. So why is that important? Essentially, everything that your consumers or your clients are doing in the mobile app, if they're also in your CRM, you'll be able to track them. So if they're coming onto your site and looking at a bunch of different listings, if they're saving searches, all of that, you'll be able to track it in your CRM under that client. So you can say, hey, we talked about, 4-bedroom homes in this area of town, but you're looking for 5-bedroom homes on the opposite side of town, then you can have a conversation. But you can track everything that they're doing through your CRM if they download your mobile app.
Right. And this little section called CTA, everyone know what a CTA is? A lot of acronyms floating around. Anyone want to take a guess? No, not a soul, huh? All right, so it's a call to action, right? So any block that's a CTA is a call to action where, in other words, you're asking the prospect or client or whoever's using your site to do something, right? Whether it's to download your app or to, wow, that's loud, David. or whether it be like, do a home valuation or mortgage calculator. I mean, you're having the person using your site do something, a call to action. So that's all those CTAs are going to be that type of activity. Make sense? Visit my Facebook. You're asking them to do something for you, essentially. Do you have questions?
So Martin asked, how will my current website interact with the Boosh site? So your current Remax website is actually not linked to Boosh because that is the one being powered by Homes.com. So once this new website goes live, everything on this site that consumers are doing, that'll be linked to your Boosh CRM.
And then the other question we get is, what about my non-Remax websites, right? So for those folks who have gone out, bought a URL, and then developed their own website, the best thing I can tell you is if you feel like it's a value add, a website is a place that you've got a lot of traffic on, you're showing Google Analytics or whatever, showing that there's a lot of visitation. Obviously, we don't want to mess with that activity. However, if you've got a website that's stagnant, stale, whatever you want to call it, doesn't get really much traffic, all that kind of stuff, you can always keep the domain and forward it to the new Remax site. Only with the idea that this new Remax site, like Sarah talked about just a few minutes ago, is going to fully integrate with everything that you have as from your tools as an agent, right? Your CRM, the mobile app, all that stuff is going to be fully integrated. So if you have a website that's not doing a lot for you now, my recommendation is that I would take that domain and I would forward that domain to your new Remax site so that you can actually see if anyone that is actually visiting your site, you can actually see that activity, and then you can start integrating it in with your CRM and following up with those folks and having some actual items coming out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right, and then another note on the mobile app, if you have this call to action block, the CTA block on your site, and if somebody goes on here and clicks the download button, they'll be downloading your branded mobile app. So it won't just be the generic. I know back when we had the old Remax app, you would have to send them like a specific link or something like that, and you'll still have that link, but if they're on your website and they download your app, it'll be branded to you automatically. So it helps a little bit.
But I can still send that link.
Yeah, definitely. You can still send the link through text or email or whatever, and it'll bring you to the download option. But if they're on your site already, then that way you don't have to worry about them just getting put on the generic website. Okay, so going back to our content manager over here. So if we wanted to add in a block, so let's say, this is a pretty basic template right now, but we wanted to add in some additional fields, some additional content blocks. You can hit add block, and you have all of these different options, and they're adding more content blocks on like a daily basis. So if there's something that you would prefer to have on your website that's maybe not there yet, just stay patient. Hopefully it will show up in the next few weeks. But a few kind of notes on these. So if you're curious what it is, I would say just click on it and see how it shows, how it reflects onto your website. And then if it's not something that you end up liking, you can just delete it. So, but the descriptions on here are pretty straightforward.
When you click on it, it gives you a preview, right?
Mm-hmm. Numbered step slideshow. So essentially, if you wanted to go step by step, you could build this out. So you would have to select an image, and you can upload your own images. They also give you normally some options to choose from if you just wanted to use one of their stock images.
Yeah, I haven't uploaded them yet.
So if you wanted to, so if you wanted to say step 1, contact me, and then you could go through and build out these different steps with a link. I'm not quite sure what the step option would be. This is a bad example.
What's up?
But you could do an image slideshow if you wanted to. You could add in. You could add in a blog. I mean, again, if you guys don't want to add in all of this stuff, you definitely don't have to. I mean, if you're big on video, maybe you'd want to do a video carousel and upload 4 or 5 different videos on here. Social media. Hopefully this will be an easy one. Okay. So you'll eventually be able to link in your social media, so it'll look something like this. So versus the old sites that just had those buttons that linked you to your Facebook page or your LinkedIn, here this is actually pulling in your posts through a social media widget, and so these posts are going to show up on your site as well. So if you're really active on Facebook, for example, all of your Facebook posts are going to be able to be viewed on here. And then, of course, this will link back to your Facebook page if someone were more interested. Oops. There we go. So if you notice all these ones that I'm clicking, well, these aren't live yet, so they won't let us do much. But you can, oops. Sorry. You can rearrange these however you see fit. You can delete them because we never really figured out what that step was. Or you can link up your pages. So it's going to be gray like this because when you click on it, it tells you that this has not gone live yet. So you'll be able to link up your social media, but it's not live yet for you to do that. Are there any questions on like how to add a block, how to edit them? Your Zillow reviews are in here. I think this one also will go live once the site goes live, if I remember. Yes. So I would say just go through and maybe get it in the layout that you want, and then once all of these things go live, you'll be able to come in here. Yeah, you can rearrange these however you like. So you want it up there. You'll be able to come in here and say, okay, so my Zillow reviews aren't here yet, but this is where they're going to show up on my website. And here's my video, my bio. So you can get the layout set up so that when it goes live, it'll look how you want it. But as these features come available, they'll actually start showing up on your website. Any questions on what some of these content blocks are or how to kind of edit them? When it says carousel, it just kind of means like it's a scrolling, it's kind of slideshow type of thing. You just have different options for how you want your bio to look. The communities one is actually kind of cool, so you can add in different, I believe that they have already pulled in information on different communities in the area. And again, they're going to be adding more content blocks for you to choose from as time goes on.
Quick question, sorry about for a second. And the Zillow review one.
They're not live yet, so it kind
Why
of.
you can't move it?
So you can move it.
You move it up and down in order, but you can't see it. See, so it's there.
So it doesn't even give you a draft or published option because it's literally just.
Is it good to add that block now so it'll be there?
Yeah, I would go ahead and do that with all of it. I mean,
You can add your screen name too. Go ahead and do that.
So that when they do go live.
So that when it goes live, your reviews will pull through.
So your screen name, does everyone know where to find that on your Zillow account? So it's not your Zillow login. That would be too easy. When you go, like if you were to Google yourself and go onto your main kind of like agent page, on the right side it should have like your name, your contact information, your office, and then it'll say screen name. And for some of you, it'll just be like your first and last name. For others, it'll be complete gibberish. But you essentially just want to copy and paste that screen name and put it here so that when this goes live, your reviews will pull through.
Yeah, so Google Al Del Pino Zillow, and you'll find your kind of your public facing profile, and your screen name will be on the bottom right. Does that make sense?
We can probably find some.
We can show you.
I'll open up a tab. So let's say
So
stop.
right now we can put our name there.
You want to put your screen name? Yes.
So if you like Google Scott Sadler Zillow, you click through. On the bottom right here, you'll see screen name right here. It's Scott's. It's
But
Scott,
not everybody's
Sadler.
first and last name.
Right.
That's why it's always good to look it up. Like it may be like a combination of numbers and letters.
So if you have reviews, where do you see?
On Zillow?
Yeah.
I think there's a whole reviews. So like Scott, he has this 5-star. You can just click right on the reviews here.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'd enter Scott Sadler under your Zillow screen name. So now that we have all of our content blocks kind of in here and added as we'd like, you can go back and view the web preview and make sure that maybe that's the flow of it makes sense, right? So if you end up scrolling through, but if I was doing this, I don't think I would put a big image here and then a video right afterwards.
Right.
So just make sure that it makes sense when you're looking at it. And then again, it's going to have placeholders for the things that aren't officially live yet. So like, obviously the MLS, you have the paperwork signed, but the website's not live, so it's not going to show you that yet. And then Zillow and things like that, they're not going to be shown on here because it's neither published nor live. So if you want to see everything, I would just click on your page and scroll through it. Any questions on getting content in there, organizing them?
For me, the headline and the agent rebrand block, I think are, even though rebrand block allows you to drag it, I think it should always say where they put it in your original template, because it's really your contact information right out of the gate. Does it allow you to drag it up? It's one more up. There it goes.
Oh.
There you go. And see, the layout makes a lot more sense when your information comes right up right afterwards. So I wouldn't really mess with those two particular blocks. You can't mess with the headline to begin with, but the agent rebrand block comes up right after, and it lays out pretty well, especially when you website preview it.
Okay, so I'm going to go back, I'm going to save and exit, and I'm going to go back to this main Boosh website page, right? So we're on Boosh, under website, and customize site. So we created this main parent page, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we want to go in and maybe add in a child page. So let's say you have your main page here, and then maybe you want to do a child page for buyers and a child page for sellers. And maybe that's where you'll talk about, you know, what you do from a buying perspective, what you do from a listing perspective, just as an example. So if you wanted to, some of you will already have 2 pages under here. And again, it's sometimes a little bit easier to look at it in the list view, right? Why is it doing that? Why are we here? Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit add page, and then maybe we'll put buyers, right? And then you can put a description, whatever you'd like. This navigation item only essentially will allow you to create like a title, and then you can put different subtitles underneath it if you wanted to. But so if you name it buyers, you're going to come in here and then essentially do exactly what you did, but this time you're customizing it to whatever that child page is supposed to be referencing, right? So if we're talking just about buyers, maybe you think buyers would do better with, you could do an image slideshow of homes that you have purchased or worked with buyers on. I mean, whatever it is that you want to do. So
In neighborhoods.
yeah, whatever. So then you can come in here and you can click to choose an image. And so they'll give you a couple options to choose from. So maybe you like the city picture. You can put an image description. Obviously this isn't uptown, but we'll say uptown Charlotte, right? And so that's going to be your header. So your header is the big picture that you selected here, and then you're going to add your content blocks from there. So maybe again you want to have some video. So maybe you recorded a video about why you're so great with buyer's agents. And then you would copy and paste the URL here. So I'm just going to grab something off YouTube. Is this making sense, how I'm kind of walking through this, or not at all? Sorry, I'm just stealing a video. Oh yeah, sorry. Hold on, I'll go back. Let me just steal a video. Alright, so I'm just stealing this URL, right? So I can put it in here. So I'm essentially just building out this web page, right? So I went, if you guys want me to start over just so you can see it. So I have my main agent page, right? So right when someone goes onto my website, that's what this one is. And then below that is my, oops, actually it's unlinked right now, but below that would be my buyers page that I just created. So you have your menu at the top, right? And then if you click on menu, it'll say buyers, sellers, community info. I mean, whatever it is that you want to customize it to, that's what's going to show up on your website. So I'm creating child pages right now. So my parent page is my own agent website page, right? That we just went through, chose the template, created the content blocks, and now I'm going in and creating my child pages, which are my different sub pages that are linked to my main agent page.
Right. And so in practical terms, like this buyer page is unlinked, right? It doesn't connect to our web page. You're like, why would I ever have that? Well, let's say you're doing an email campaign to a bunch of potential buyers that you've been marketing to, you've been sending emails to for the past year, and you know that anytime they may become hot. They've been in there. So what you can do is you could send a link to this buyer specific page, right, which is separate from your actual main website. And that is a landing page where you might have a neighborhood breakdown, and then you might have a mortgage calculator and a few other things that are very buyer specific, and they work for that campaign specifically. So you wouldn't send all those folks all to your main Remax site where your sellers, buyers, even has renters in there, are all there, right? You would want them to have a very specific place to land. And on the same token, you could link it, and what you can do is on that main website, you can actually have a spot where it says buyers, sellers, etc. And from your main site, if I'm a buyer, I'm like, oh, I'm a buyer, and I click on your buyer site, then it takes you to this link page, and then they can see stuff that's very buyer specific for them. So you can treat that main, because there used to be that a single page agent website was just a site, right? Just a single website that you could link out to other random things, but it was not an all-encompassing thing that these are now. So now you can do buyer site, a seller site. You can do something for renters. You can do something for that specific neighborhood that you're marketing. You can do all these different things, and you can have them all live together in an ecosystem and all have a track back to your CRM. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Confused faces. So unlinked, maybe it's a marketing campaign, maybe it's something different. You link it back in. You can have buyers who are specifically identify themselves as us on your website. They get taken to your buyer-specific site, and you kind of work them that way so that they actually get what they need. You're not just looking at a whole bunch of information that's not relevant to them. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense.
So we'll go back into the buyers page in just a second, but I want to go ahead and link it, right? Because the whole point of me making this is so I can link it to my main agent page. So I'm going to go to the menu option. Some of yours might say list, and grid and list. It depends. I don't know. They've changed it. And so my main page is called Agent Layout 4, which I'm sure we can rename. And then the one I want to link as a child page is called Buyers. So I'm going to go and hit Menu. And I have I'm assuming this is the home page. So the home page or the Agent Layout 4. For some reason, this is linked right now. So I'm going to, I guess, just ignore that. And essentially, you can come over here and you can grab the page that you just created and make it a child page to your main parent page, to your main agent site. Is this making sense? So now if you're on this one, you can click the menu option and you can see your buyer's child page or your sub page. And you can add as many as you want here. So if you wanted to go in, just so you could have the layout set up, you could go ahead and add in another page, right? And say, oops, sellers. Why list with, and hit save. So now we're in here and we're going to just select something basic just so we can have this set up. And text, right? So we're just building out this site. I just want to show you guys quickly so we can go back and then link this again. So now you'll see I have my buyers, I have my seller one, it's unlinked. So what am I going to do? Scroll up to the top and hit menu, and then drag this seller's page under here. Right? So now we're building out this menu. We can come back in, so maybe this is phase one, right? Phase one, you decide what different pages, what different child pages you want linked to your main parent page, and then maybe you go back in and build them out. Is this making sense, or is this, have I lost you? I promise it's not that bad. So maybe we start with this. So you have your home page, right? So you just want to make sure that everything on there is correct, and then you build out your buyer's page and then your seller's page. I mean, what if you guys were to build out a website? I guess what items would you want showing up on your menu? And if you were a client looking to buy or sell a home.
What you're doing is correct.
Okay.
Buyers tab, sellers tab, about you tab.
Yeah.
And of course, search and review, the testimonials, reviews, and of course the search.
Okay.
Yeah, and so again, the templates I think are going to drive probably 80% of what you want. And if you want to continue to really build out the site, you can do everything we're doing here, but this isn't necessary to have your website.
Yeah.
So I just want to be really clear about that, because I know that probably some of you are feeling a little overwhelmed with what we're going through. But the reality of it is, you could come in, pick a template that you like, update all your information, and be off and running with a perfectly marketable quality website. But if you want to get in a couple steps further, we start getting into the more customization, right, where we're making a lot of changes. Now, you're not in a lurch, you're not going to be in a vacuum. So what we're doing is we're going over all this stuff, show you what you're capable of doing, but knowing that you're going to have questions. We understand that when you walk out of here, you understand in general terms what you can do and what you can't do. You may not know exactly how to do it all perfectly, but then you have an idea, right, where you can start ideating and saying, okay, this is what I want to do. And then, obviously, Sarah and I are not going to disappear. If you have questions, follow-up questions as you're messing around and playing with the sites, then we can help you get to where you want to get. But we want to make sure that everyone is aware of what you actually have the capacity to do, not just what you would want to do. If that makes sense. So don't feel like you will have to walk out of here and know how to run these websites. We're kind of just giving you an explanation of everything that's going to be available to you as BOOJ launches. And remember, you can come in here, you can play with these sites, they're not live. So no one will see your mistakes. If you go in and you decide to add a bunch of stuff, you don't like the way it looks, you can delete, you can play all that stuff. No one is seeing any of it until they go live next month. You're completely okay. And if you don't publish, if we go back out to the main site and we go to the list or whatever, if you don't publish something, if you go to edit page right there, if you don't publish any of these things, then no one sees them no matter what. So don't be afraid to play around. It's basically what I'm telling you. You're not going to break anything. In fact, I think the best way to figure this out is to play around and kind of see what you can and can't do. And when you hit a roadblock, you know who you can call. Does that make sense?
When we're creating the pages,
Yep.
I think it makes sense. You have all those options, I guess, of what the layout looks like. For continuity, you want to treat buyer, seller, should everything be the same?
Yeah. I mean,
Look to it.
well, I don't know, because in that concept works when you have one page, right? That you want to have it look the same no matter who it is. But since you are now building out kind of an ecosystem as opposed to a website, or opposed to a web page, now you can actually have your buyer stuff just be very buyer specific. You probably don't need to redo your whole bio because they got there from your main site anyway, right? And so your contact information can now be a little more simple. Just your phone number, your email, that kind of stuff. And then it's more focused on, like I said, if it's the buyer, it's mortgage calculator, it's neighborhood analyzer, whatever it might be, MLS search, all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't necessarily be really repetitive and redundant with the exact same information, just slightly changed over for a buyer. I would kind of have specific modules for buyers more so.
I meant the look.
Yeah, I would keep the color template kind of thing in the same vernacular, for sure.
At least if you're comparing things like buyers, sellers, or if you ended up doing like a community parent page and then you broke down the different communities, I would keep the community pages layout similar, just because it'll be easier to read. But if you ended up doing buyer, seller, and community, I don't think that those necessarily all need to match, if that makes sense.
I agree with Sarah.
So do you guys want to where are you guys as far as your websites right now? Has everyone selected a template for their homepage? Maybe you want to do more hands-on and less me talking?
Do we want to end the video if we're going to jump in on people's computers, because they always see the screen, hear our voices far away?
All right, does anyone online have any questions? We are essentially going to just jump into hands-on. And we'll share this recording in our PowerPoint from earlier as well.
So folks, I guess before we kill everybody in the meeting, anyone away from here watching online or anything like that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Sarah or I. Obviously, we're available to you guys, and thank you for watching us online. But we're going to go ahead and stop the video portion and start working hands-on with folks here in the room. So thanks again. Sarah.
What?
This.